day. It's actually February 14th. It's Valentine's Day today, and it's cold. It's 0 degrees outside, and it's been 0 degrees for several days. Of course, I keep checking by the house to make sure no water pipes have broke, and everything's fine so far. I am going to finish putting the table saw together today because, as I mentioned in the previous video, the rails have arrived. Excuse me. Now, I also need to remeasure all my windows and correct my order. As I mentioned, all 9 windows were incorrect. And I want to show you exactly what happened here with my measuring device. So let me show you this. Now, in the top left, you can see an icon that shows that the device is measuring from the butt of the device. But check this out. There's a second mode that measures from the front of the device. That's how I'd been measuring my windows. So I'm going to make sure it's in that mode, and I'm going to make sure to double check everything with a tape measure. So without further ado, let's measure some windows first. It is seriously cold today, which is why I'm working by my heater as much as I can. It's 0 degrees outside. My thermometer says it's about 38 in here, so even with a bunch of jackets and by the heater, I'm cold. But I've got all of the windows remeasured. I've used the device correctly this time, and I even noticed that a few times I started getting numbers that I didn't expect, and I realized with my gloves on, I was hitting a button that kept switching it to measure from the front of the device instead of the back. So one thing that I did for each window was I drew a little diagram of each window and what I should expect the size to roughly be. That way, while I was taking measurements, it's a quick check. Is this right or is it way off? And the difference of the device is about 4 inches, so you notice when something's off or not. Anyways, I've got everything done. I've measured them 3 times per window on the width and the height. And so what I've done is done a final dimension based on the narrowest of each for each window. And so it does look, I have 4 windows that are the same, the kitchen and 3 bedroom windows. 2 of the other bedroom windows are the same size, and then each bathroom window is a unique size. So from there, I'm going to take these measurements, double check them with the tape measure from the outside to make sure I'm not off by 4 inches like last time. But I'm pretty confident in these numbers already. Then I'm going to cut some furring strips to the length of these windows, just dry fit them and just kind of eyeball it and make sure that things look good, because windows are not something, I'm not going to order them twice. I'm going to make sure I measure twice or even 3 times. So anyways, I probably only have an hour or 2 of daylight left. And so what I'm going to do next is actually install the rails on the table saw. So let's get cracking on that project. It's time for rail assembly. So for the rails, there's this T-track or this L-track that goes on the front and the back, and then in addition on the front side there's a piece of tube So I'm going to put the first front rail on now. Now I'll do the same thing with the back rail. I learned from my mistake installing the first bear crawl base to make sure to get it set up and in the right position before things need to go on top of it. So in order to support these and the table that will go on top of it soon, I'm going to put this bear crawl base down and get it rough fitted. When putting these rails on, I have to admit there's a lot of parts, as you can see in the parts diagram here. And yeah, there's a lot of parts, and they're all similar diameters, but the lengths and things change. So I just took a minute here, laid out all my parts, and then numbered them. That way, when I put them together, things will be really easy. I mean, just as an example, check out these two screws. This one's 3/4, or sorry, bolts. This one's 3/4, these two are 5/8. They almost look the same, but you know, 1/8 of an inch difference between the two sides. So now that I've got everything laid out, it should make things a lot easier to put together. The next part of this project is to put the MDF table in between the rails, get that bolted on, then I'll get the legs underneath, everything will be supported, and at that point I can start fine-tuning all of the, everything. So, not bad news, but not good news. This rail has to come off, then I have to put the table on, then this rail has to go back on. The instructions aren't always super clear on this, and maybe I missed a step, but the problem is I can't get the bolts in to mount the table while this guy is on. Anyways, I'm going to take it off, bolt the table on, and then bolt this back on. This table took a little bit of time to get on. For one thing, there's only one of me, so positioning it and moving it around isn't the easiest. I got it in place, I got it bolted on, and the main thing that I did was snug the bolts up just a little bit and then use my rubber mallet to tap things into plumb and make sure everything's nice and flush. Obviously this has to be right above the height of the rail, and it looks good. So the only thing that's left is to mount the rail on the front again. Before I snug these bolts up, it's time to put the fence on and see how it slides. Okay, pretty good so far. Now I have to finish assembling this and give it a final test. Tighten these bolts down too. As you can see, there's some marks in the yard. Utilities have been marked, and that is because tomorrow, Complete Basement Systems is going to start fixing the foundation. We'll see you then. Good evening. It's February 16th, and today was the first day that Complete Basement Systems was here at the house. So I'd like to give you a walkthrough of what they've been doing to the foundation. As I walk down the stairs and hopefully not trip, you'll see a lot that's going on. We'll start in the green room off to my left. Now, this doesn't look like much, but this is probably one of the most important parts of the project. You can see these little seats with hole posts are what's actually going to hold the foundation up around the edge of the footer. So what does everything else look like? Well, as you saw in one of the rendering videos of what they'll be doing, here's the helical piers. You can see those corkscrews every so often, and this is what will be drilled down into the bedrock, which will get hooked to these foundation seats, and they'll put multiple of these helical piers in until things are up to tension. So between this and this is what's going to hold the foundation up. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like this. Check this out. I think this is pretty awesome. So Complete Basement Systems is good about putting plastic down and trying to keep your basement clean. I don't really care, of course, because, you know, the whole thing is just a gutted basement. But check out, the lighting's not great, but check out how deep this is. I mean, that's down a good 2 or 3 feet. And what does it look like throughout the basement? Well, there's helical piers every 6 feet, as I showed you in the rendering for what this work's going to entail. So I'm just gonna kind of walk around. There's pier number 2 and 3, not a great view. Pier number 4 is just past the furnace here. You can see that one. Pier number 5 is an interesting one. It's just inside the shower here, and I do apologize. I know the lighting's not great at all, but you know, you can see they've got their tools everywhere, extension cords. Some of this stuff is mine. Move back into the back bedroom. More plastic. We have piers, I'm losing count, 6, 7, 8. They're just starting. Here's what it's like before they start digging things out a little bit more. So of course, both corner piers. Moving along, we've got another one here that they haven't dug out yet. Here's one that they've dug out even more. And as you can see, they've already got a helical pier in the ground. I'm not gonna touch anything, but look how deep that is. I mean, they really get in there. So moving along, and you can see there's that floor, that foundation seat, which is, you know, I imagine they're gonna start actually working on this one. The other 2 corner posts. Moving around. Like I said, they're really good about putting plastic here. Here's the stove that used to be in the house, and it's not a great stove, but you know, to them, it's my stove, and so they're taking good care of it, which I do appreciate. It's more helical piers on this wall, and you can see here's one of the big cracks. So you can see there's a piece of tape there. That piece of tape is to indicate the fact that they're also going to put a wall plate right here, because this is one place that does need a wall plate on this wall. And then again, the final helical pier on that wall. So I'd like to walk back over to this west wall, and you'll see there's some tape, there's some tape, there's some tape over there, there's some tape, there's some tape, there's some tape. So obviously no holes in the ground. And that's not just because they haven't gotten to it yet, but that's because every 6 feet on this wall is where they're going to put the wall anchors that you saw in the rendering. I'll probably put that up on screen. And so this end really didn't have the sinking problems that the east end did, but this crack right here that you can see, that's the problem we're fixing with all these wall anchors. So I'm just gonna kind of back out. This video is getting a little bit long here, but I'm gonna do one more pan shot from just the middle, just a nice slow pan shot, just so you can kind of take it all in, see everything that's going on. So again, this is day 1. Complete Basement Systems is going to be here until the 24th, maybe longer, we'll see. But as you can see, it is a huge construction zone, but it's exciting. I mean, things are happening. I talked with my engineer today, and he's going to have the structural blueprints done within the week. So we're going to have all of this stuff, you know, really rocking and rolling here. Alrighty. That's going to conclude it for today, the 16th of February. I'll be back tomorrow on the 17th, and we'll see what happens of day 2 of the basement foundation repairs by Complete Basement Systems.